Wow, Starlight and the Deep are in this season? Oh man, I bet they're gonna have a lot of screen time since they're in the trailer. I mean, this is gonna be really exciting.
Let's light this candle, huh?
Well, I guess they got a final season to film. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today, this one's going to be doing a review for Gen V, this one's going to be doing our triple review for the triple premiere of Gen V Season 2. This is our review for Gen V Season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3. So, I figured we'd combine them into a massive review, give our thoughts on the triple premiere as one. I obviously am going to be doing more reviews for Gen V now that the episodes are going on weekly. You can now stream the first 3 episodes of Season 2 on Prime Video, and going forward, every Wednesday, we will be reviewing the show week to week as the episodes release. So it will be week to week episodes. This is just a triple premiere because that's usually what the Boys franchise does. They give us 3 episodes to start, and then it turns into a week to week review basis. So that is how we're going to be doing that. Now, as you guys know, I was a very critical reviewer of the first season. I didn't not like it at times, but I felt like the first season kind of lacked in terms of just performance, in terms of the characters. I didn't find them as gripping as the characters in the original show, The Boys, obviously. I felt like while some characters worked, some characters also did not work. I was having a little bit of a tough time kind of connecting with the characters, though I did find that there were some interesting story beats in the first season. I felt like the execution was, I would say, rather poor. However, I will still say I did like the gore in the first season. I did like how faithful some of the comedy was, and I did like the cameos from some of the characters that we did get from the original show. So it was a faithful spinoff in that regard. I just didn't feel like the story worked for me as much as it did for, I know, a lot of other people that have watched the first season. Now, that being said, jumping into Season 2, I didn't really have many expectations going in, aside from one big thing: getting to see the world of the Boys post the end of Season 4, and getting to see how this sets up for the final season of The Boys. That is the main reason I'm watching this. And after the first 3 episodes of Season 2, my first impressions on this season would be, I didn't think it was all that bad. It wasn't bad, alright? Now, it wasn't great. I will still say there were problems I had with it, but it was a better start than the first season for me. I enjoyed more than I didn't, okay? And I will say that. It was an intriguing story. I think my favorite element of these first 3 episodes that I found very interesting, and it's good for the lore of The Boys, is seeing the way humans are treated. Because for example, in the opening of the 3rd episode, you get this sequence where you get this, female that, of course, is having to wear this, human thing on her, right? This, kind of thing that she has to wear that has a big H on it, right? And they have to go around being known that they are human, and humans are being treated very poorly by Supes. It's very much a divide between humans and Supes, and I think that's a very interesting concept now that Homelander has taken over as the president, right? So you kind of see the way the world works now that he's running things, which I think is very interesting. Very much like a dictator, very much hardcore stuff, and definitely a very interesting plot line, seeing how humans are treated in comparison to superheroes. And I like that element, and I think they really have executed that well in these first 3 episodes. They did a good job kind of showing that stuff. They did a good job kind of showing the tragedy of the way humans are treated, and the one woman that was kind of afraid and stuff like that, and, Emma kind of noticed that. So, I like that element. Now, one of the big things about these first 3 episodes that we unfortunately had to kind of just jump right into is the unfortunate passing of the actor of course, which, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people probably know if you haven't seen this already. I'm sure a lot of people already know. The actor for Andre, one of the leading characters of this show, unfortunately passed away last year. And unfortunately because of that, they had to write in a character death for him off screen. Now, I was a little bit worried on the way they were going to execute this, and I'm going to be definitely very nice on them here, because here's the thing: if I was in their position, I would have had a hard time doing this too. You know what I'm saying? I would have had a really hard time executing this, and it's very difficult. So while the episode open, you do skip a lot of time, and you have Emma and you have Jordan that are kind of just in this vehicle. They are taken to this school, and you've got Kate that kind of sits there, and she's like, "Hi guys," and she's like all welcoming to them and stuff like that. And I will admit it was a jarring start, but I remember I was like, okay, listen, You can't show them in jail. You can't show them locked up. They kind of talk about how everything went down, and they do explain it later on in the episode that Marie got free, she left, she's on the outside now, and the rest of them were on the inside. Now, Andre saw Marie get out, apparently, according to what they said, and he tried to help them. And unfortunately, he died as a result, and the rest of them that aren't Marie that got out, or, of course, Andre that died for this, the rest of them were taken back to God U, right? So that's what ended up happening. And again, all off screen. So when the episode opens, you see Emma and Jordan taken back to the school, and Marie is out there on the outside hiding from Vought, hiding from everything. She's living out there in the streets, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a jarring way to start the season. However, I appreciate the context, and I'm not going to flaw them, honestly, because I think they did the best that they could given the situation that they were in. I remember hearing that the scripts were already written while that death in real life happened. So they had to change it up kind of at the last minute, and I definitely applaud them because I think they did a good job. I genuinely do. I think they did a good job, and I think that they treated the exit of Andre in a respectful manner, and I think they did it in a way that I felt worked for the story. They killed him in a way that when they explained how he went down, it sounded like something Andre would do. You can't show anything. Yeah, maybe you could do stunt doubles or something and show a flashback. You could, but I think out of respect for the actor, they just wanted to move past it and kind of keep going. So I understand why they did it. It was a jarring way to start the premiere, I will admit, but I understand it. You know what I'm saying? I understand it, and I can give them a pass, for sure. And in terms of the opening scene, where we see the Project Odessa go down back in 1967, I did like that as well, because we got to see a lot of gore right off the bat, which, of course, is the boys' style. And the guy almost pulls the fire alarm, but he doesn't. So very gruesome way to start, and very insane way to start with that flashback. And I was kind of wondering, I was like, okay, what is Project Odessa? What is it? You know what I mean? And they kind of lead you on throughout the first couple episodes, and they kind of make you think about what the hell it is. You know what I mean? And as you continue the first episode, you've got Kate, of course. She's trying to kind of control everything. She still has Sam, of course, under her, full control. She just has to touch him, and he's like, what do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you, master? It's that type of thing, So Kate, I will say, is a very interesting villain this season. I'm really enjoying her a lot. I think she's a very interesting character because, she obviously was with Luke in season 1. This season, obviously, after what Marie did to her arm and after the whole, fight broke out, she still brings them back, you know what I mean? She still wants them to be part of this whole thing, and they're trying to find Marie. Now, there's a new Dean here, right? Because obviously Shetty was killed last season. Well, she killed herself, but under the power of what was going on, right? So in this season, we have a new character, the new Dean, called Cypher, and the guy is quite intense. I mean, he's definitely very intense. He's kind of got this calm, chill personality. He kind of, has them under his boot, and even Kate, I mean, she's trying to, do things differently than he is, and he puts her hand in front of a blender to threaten her, basically, and says, listen, you're going to do what I ask you to do. So I think the actor's good so far, and I think the character's interesting too. I like that he kind of makes these characters kind of fight and prove themselves with their superpowers, show him what they have and who's more valuable than the other, and it's an absolute competition. So I like the way he does that. I think that's a very interesting narrative for him so far, and I find him much more interesting than the Dean last season. Shetty was kind of a bland character for me. This guy I really like. I think he's very interesting so far, and I think he's got an interesting kind of demeanor about him, So I like that, and I like that Jordan and Emma are kind of having to kind of just, shut their mouths and go along with everything, but they're still wondering where the hell Marie is. Now, Marie on the outside obviously is kind of stuck because you got this dog guy that comes up, which this guy was in Vikings. He was also in The Walking Dead. This guy's a new soup, basically. And he attacks Marie out there, right? And they have a massive fight. And Marie is almost killed by this guy. And who comes to save Marie on the outside when she needs it? Starlight, or Annie, right? Now, we saw this in the trailers, and I must admit, I told y'all this when I watched the trailers, so I was like, I'm not falling for this. Starlight's going to be in one scene, and that's it. I do not like the way that they advertise Gen V, because they put the big characters in the trailers from the main show, making you think they're going to be involved in the season, for the whole season, But with Starlight, I knew. I was already prepared for it. I was like, she's going to be in one scene, She's going to give Marie some information. She's going to tell her to go back to the school, and that's it. And that's exactly what happened. However, I will say I did enjoy seeing her, and we did learn some lore about what's going on. This is post the end of season 4. Now, apparently, she's living like Marie. She's been living in shitholes and trying to figure a way to get back in to save her friends. So we're going to obviously probably see that in season 5, which I would assume. But she tells Marie, listen, this is war. This is important. You know what I mean? You have to do something. And I like the way that she kind of described everything. And I like the way that she kind of motivated her, if you will, to go back to the school and to do what she does. I think that was very interesting. And I think they told it in a very good way. So Marie is kind of on the fence about whether or not she's going to go back. She feels kind of responsible. And Jordan is kind of upset because Jordan almost is trying to place the blame on Marie for why Andre did what he did. Because Andre saw Marie get out, so apparently he tried something and then died, which is very unfortunate. So apparently, according to what happened, that's how Andre went down. Marie did not know that. She finds out about it as you got Emma and Jordan that meet up with her at the end of the episode. Now, unfortunately, they get tracked. So now you got Emma, you've got Marie, and you've got Jordan. And they meet up with each other. They're trying to convince Marie to go back, and she says no. Well, no is not exactly a correct answer, because at the end of the episode, you've got Kate that shows up and says, you're going back. We have to do this all together. And they refuse, and it gets physical. And Kate fights, Marie and Emma and Jordan, and they actually leave Kate for dead. They actually leave her there just like that. And I remember for a minute, I was like, hang on a minute now. I want to see more of Kate. That better not be the death of Kate. I was a little pissed off for a time there. I was like, wait a minute. Please don't. That's a really interesting character. Kate's one of the more interesting ones for me. I want to see what, goes on with her next. No, she does not die. We find out in the opening of episode 2, as Marie is welcomed back to the school, that Kate is in the hospital. And, of course, we had Sam that goes to the hospital to try to visit her, and, obviously she kind of gets out of control, kills some nurses, you know what I'm saying? And Sam kind of sees the whole thing go down, and he gets the hell out of there. So Kate's in the hospital for the entirety of episode 2. We don't really see much of her aside from that scene. But we've got Marie that's back at the school now, and obviously she's kind of trying to get adjusted to the whole thing. She's meeting up with Cypher, and she's getting to know him, and then she's having to fight in this ring with a bunch of supes having to prove themselves, her and Jordan. So we get to see a really interesting fight sequence. We get to see this God of War Ragnarok looking dude over here, you know what I mean, who fights them. And, you've got Marie that ends up kind of using her powers to cut herself to get the blood going, right? And she does a pretty interesting boss fight at that. Very good, very entertaining stuff. And, we then get to see, of course, Marie kind of decides, okay, wait a minute, I'm just gonna, cut myself, get this guy going, and that'll be that. And, the interesting thing is that Cypher doesn't like that. He thinks, actually, you know what, Marie? I don't think that's such a good idea to do, that, right? Self-harm, right? So he's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's, the way you should do it. And she's like, it's just the way I've always done it. You know what I'm saying? So, he's like, well, you have to figure out a different solution, But yeah, I like the boss fight. I thought that was really good. And, they really did, I gotta say, they really promoted Andre's dad this season. They really did, because now he's working at God U as well. And it sounds like the only reason he's working there is because he is going to be trying to find a way to take Cypher down, take down this whole school, and to raise hell, basically. So he works there now. So I thought that was interesting. Now, the way I'm looking at this is he is probably taking on the role that they had planned for Andre. That's what I'm thinking. And the reason I say that is because you can definitely tell in the writing when you had him just all of a sudden with, Emma 24/7 investigating and looking through the files and trying to find everything. I remember that's when I was kind of like, yeah, this is definitely the stuff that they already had originally planned for Andre. They just tweaked some dialogue to make it make sense, Which, again, I think the writers did a good job. They're promoting the dad now, and he's kind of the big thing. So they're still going on with Andre's arc, you can tell. But they're just doing it through him. You know what I mean? So I really do applaud the writers for adjusting that quickly and, obviously due to real-life circumstances. And I think they did a good job with it. And, as per usual, Emma's a trip. She's high as hell in this episode due to all the stress she's under, And she gets big, right? And she's like, So I like that. That was hilarious. Emma is funny as hell. And Emma is very entertaining. I must say. She is absolutely great. And I must say, I was kind of wondering, I was like, are they going to keep Emma, funny this season, due to all the stuff? And I was like, man, no, they still are. She's hilarious. Emma's actually probably my favorite of these episodes. I don't know, man. She was hilarious. So yeah, Emma's great. Love her as per usual. She's awesome. She fanboys over this dude apparently that had like a TV show or something. So I thought that was pretty funny as well. And well, massive plot twist here. We got the Deep. The Deep is back. Plot twist. He's running a group full of naked dudes. I don't fucking know what's going on, but it was fun to watch him. It was fun to have him on the show briefly. But again, this is the problem with the trailers. They make it seem like the Deep is going to be this big character, and he isn't. He's got a few scenes, and that's it. But I did like seeing the Deep on this. I did find it fun to have him back, and it was enjoyable to, an extent, of course. Now, of course, not only that, we also have another massive plot twist, which happens near the end of episode 2. The Project Odessa that they're trying to figure out what it is, they're trying to figure it out over the course of the episode. Obviously, we saw the flashback at the opening of the first episode where it killed everybody and everything like that. And we finally get the reveal. The Project Odessa is no other than Marie. And that really, really opens up a can of worms. Now, I actually kind of like this twist because it is different. It kind of makes Marie a little bit more of a purpose of a lead with that information. So, honestly, Marie is not a character I really cared much about in the first season, I think, as y'all kind of heard in the reviews. I'm actually kind of interested in what they're doing with her here, though, because now she's having to visit her aunt, trying to get a little bit more information, and while she's there, she kind of finds out a bit of information about her sister. She finds out that her sister was living with her aunt for a time, but now she isn't, at least based off of what I got from that. Unless she was lying, maybe her sister still lives there. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, the aunt tells her, you killed your parents, and she's like, well, I was a girl having a period, and I accidentally killed my parents. What do you want from me? You make it sound like I'm some fucking monster, And I don't know, the dialogue felt very legit this time. It did. It felt very real. And I appreciate the writers for making Marie more serious, because I will say, I did like those scenes. They were good. Unfortunately, one of my only big flaws with these episodes, and it is really, really being stuck in our faces, unfortunately, I don't vibe with Jordan and Marie. I don't. I still don't vibe with their relationship. I still don't vibe with the way they're telling it. It's strictly, the reason I don't like it is because of the story. I find the dialogue and the way they speak to each other is very cringeworthy. The way they're like, oh, you love me, and well, you can only say you can't say you love someone if you're a virgin for the first time. It sounds like I'm a virgin. I was like, okay, listen, guys, we don't need all this dialogue. Just boil it down to you love each other, move on, We don't need all this bullshit. It's a waste of screen time. And I know they're sticking it in there because, I don't know, whatever reason. You know what I mean? I'll leave it at that. But I don't think it's necessary. And it was in our face a lot this episode, with episode 3. And I found it was very, very unnecessary. So that stuff I didn't like. But again, it is what it is. Every show in Hollywood's going to put that in there. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, that was some of the only stuff I didn't like. There were cringe pieces of dialogue, though. I will say in every single one of these episodes, the cringe is still there at times, so I do deduct some points on some of these, but I will say I did think the premiere was really solid, and I did think that overall the episodes were good. The ending with Jordan where, they kind of mention, that they basically tell the truth to the college, right? They're like, yeah, listen, we did this to Kate. Kate is, obviously in bad shape because of us. We tried to kill her. We did this. We did that. And Jordan comes clean. And I thought that was an interesting scene. Again, cringe dialogue in that scene at times. But, interesting sequence nevertheless. So, and again, the Kate storyline is one I find very interesting because obviously she returns in episode 3. She gets back from the hospital. She's got this beanie on, right? And she's covering up this massive scar that's on the top of her head. And in order to do that, she wears the beanie to kind of hide it. You know what I mean? And she even tells Sam, she's like, listen, I can't help you. You know what I mean? And Sam kind of goes nuts. And Sam ends up kind of having a bit of a fight with Jordan, and they actually end up turning things around and bonding, which I thought was kind of interesting, you know what I mean? So, that was good too. They definitely have given Jordan a little bit more, because again, Jordan, not really my favorite in Season 1. Season 2, a little bit better, I'll say, a little bit better. So, yeah. That is the gist of what we got for these first 3 episodes. That is a breakdown for these episodes. What do I think about them? They're solid episodes. They are. Episode 1, I'd give it about an 8, maybe an 8.5, 8 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around there. It was good. It was a good episode. I liked it. Given the circumstances that they were under in real life, I think that they did a good job introducing the season. There were a few inconvenient moments. There were a few moments I found a little odd here and there, but I thought the first episode was solid. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The second episode, not quite as good. I felt like the episode was moving a little bit slower. And again, there were a few scenes where I was kind of checking my watch, with Marie and Jordan. I was like, let's get past it, But I'd give it a 7. Episode 2, it's 7 out of 10. Episode 3, I'd probably give like a 6.5. It was a little bit lower than 2 and 1. Just because I found that, again, the Jordan Marie stuff really is it's really unnecessary. And I found that the Sam stuff, while good, I felt like the Sam stuff is we're kind of just going in circles with this character this season, I find. And I found that it was a little bit like, okay, we kind of already know all this stuff, with Sam. So I'd kind of say that's why episode 3 is personally my least favorite. But I will say A for effort that they're giving Marie a little bit more of a plot this season. I think that's good. And I am liking the cameos from Starlight and the Deep. Though they were quick, I did like them. And I think there was some good material in these first 3 episodes. So it's a solid start. It's better than the start of season 1 for sure. I definitely prefer it over the start of season 1. So I think they did a good enough job telling the story and introducing this season. So yeah, that's the start of season 2, y'all. We'll be back next week for episode 4, weekly episode reviews and weekly episodes on Prime Video. So definitely make sure to check it out, and definitely check it out because this is going to be very beneficial to season 5 of The Boys, from what Eric Kripke has mentioned. So I'm in for it. We got another 5 episodes to go, and I hope that this season is good. I hope this season can, do some good things. In terms of where I'm expecting it to go, I mean, hopefully more connections, hopefully more stuff, and maybe we'll see, Butcher or Homelander maybe towards the end of the season. We know that Stan's involved in this season, so we know he's there. And we know that there will be Sister Sage as well this season, so we're going to see her based off what I've been seeing in the promotion. So there's going to be other cameos going on this season, and, I'm sure that'll be interesting for sure. But yeah, that's kind of the idea there. That's the beginning of Season 2 of Gen V. I want to hear from you guys now. Let me know. If you're new to the channel, guys, and you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos for Gen V. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a street fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shed a TV light.